Welcome to Fueling Your Legacy, hosted by Samuel Knickerbocker. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a new, stronger foundation essential in creating your legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started.
Mainly, I didn't have any bills, really. Kay and I were doing good. I had quite a bit of savings. So I could do pretty much what I wanted. Well, there was a real estate firm, okay? There was a real estate firm in Salt Lake City. And the head of it was one of my best friends, really. I met him in college. His name was Mendenhall, Bob Mendenhall. And so one day, isn't this funny? Not too long after Willie, he calls me and he says, "Hey, Glenn," he says, you want to go back on the road with us? But you're only on the road during the week. You're home with your wife and kids on the week, every weekend. So quality time, And he said, "Let me tell you what we're doing. We're starting a network marketing company, McCulloch Oil, the billionaire McCulloch chainsaw." I says, "Yeah." He said, "Well, he's developing pre-planned cities now." In other words, he goes in, he'd buy up 50,000 acres or whatever it was, and he'd go in and put in all the underground utilities and everything, divide the lots up, and then we were to sell all of these lots. Again, we just crushed it. Spring Creek, Nevada was one of ours. Have you ever heard of the one over there right on the banks? Let's see. I don't know why I can't remember some of these names. But anyway, there's 4 or 5 that we developed. 15 years, we were with him 15 years. And what we would do is we would fly out to some city. Oh, it was all the McCulloch Airlines. It was his own airlines. It cost us anything. We did have to pay for our own, motel and stuff. Fly us into a city. We'd schedule dinners. We'd have dinners for him. He'd get the leads. He'd do mailers to them. And all these leads would come in. We'd call these people, line them up for the dinner. And the big pitch was fly before you buy. Free flight, free round trip flight. Fly before you buy. And they'd come to the dinners. We'd explain the program to them, how they could buy a lot or lots in these different places. And some people, would buy it to actually build and live there, move there, and others would buy it for investment, just to have real estate for an investment. And the lots were $5,000 and $6,000 back then for a lot. So we made a lot of money. And it was he had 40 offices in the United States all around that were selling for him. They were selling for him. But we were the only office that he would allow to do the dinner program. And the reason is because we said to him, if you don't let us do that, we're not going to do it, because we don't want to make one sale at a time. We want to make multiple sales. Mm-hmm. And we know we can do it, or we wouldn't be doing it. He says, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a trial basis. And he says, okay, well, he gave us a trial basis. And boy, we were just turning in sales like crazy. And it was so good that he did change his mind, and he let all these other offices do it, but they didn't know how to do it. He almost bankrupted that program. Because, if you're inviting all these people out, all that expense just to get them there, and then they don't buy, they get up, thanks for dinner, and walk away. Or even if they take the flight and then they don't buy it, it was, so we were the only ones. So he cut them all off. We were the only dinner program in the whole nation doing that. And we developed that. Mendenhall's and myself, we developed that program too. And it was really something. But my little wife, she supported me. She was raising our little kids, and I was out, making money. But the nice thing was we'd fly out every Monday morning, and then on Friday, we'd fly home, spend the weekend, and then go out on Monday again. And then the flight, of course, we had people, and he had people who would meet the people at the airport, get them on the flight, fly them down there. We went on some flights. We went on some flights and saw how it was. We needed that experience so we could tell them. And he had hotels. You'd fly into one of these pre-planned cities, and the only building you could see, you'd say, "What's that?" "That's a hotel or a motel." That's where he put up all his customers.
That's fascinating. So that was the business that you did right after Willie the Whale?
Yes.
Pretty soon after?
Yes. And it was very lucrative. In fact, I had a friend, a really good friend. He drove up the driveway with his wife one day, and I was outside, and it was on the weekend, and we were talking. He knew what I was doing. And all of a sudden, the mailman came, and we were in this house by then. Mm-hmm. Mailman came, and I said, "Just a minute." I said, "I got to get my mail." I ran down to get my mail, and in there was my weekly check from them, and it's commission. Mm-hmm. I opened it up, and I says, He says, "What's that?" And I says, "Oh, that's just my weekly check from my job." And he says, "Well, Glenn, do you care if I see it?" I says, "No." It was $2,600. That's for 1 week. I put it through the window, and he looked at it and says, "Oh my gosh, you got to be kidding! Nobody makes that much money now." I says, "Well,
not doing things that are legal, right?"
We do. But anyway, yeah. So we did that for 15 years, and the only reason it stopped is old man McCulloch died, and his son that took it over didn't want to do the land business. He didn't know it like his dad, and he went back into the McCulloch oil and the chainsaws and stuff like that. So anyway, and so that was another business.
So when did you get into building your
Camper World?
Yeah, your own Camper World.
Right company. After that.
Okay.
See, when he died, they weren't going to continue. I had two friends, really close friends. In fact, one of them, he and I had gone to grade school together. So we'd been together like 30 years or something. And we were talking, what should we do? We've got to have a job. What should we do? And I said, well, guys, why don't we just do what we know best? And he says, what, Glenn? What? And I says, let's sell, let's have dinners, have people come to the dinners and sell them a product at the dinners. We know that best of all, Mm-hmm. And so they said, well, what's the product? And I said, well, people love camping, right? I said, yeah. I said, what if we got a couple of, of course, we were just experimenting. What if we got a couple of RVs, let the people use them to go camping? Then, as we got into it, we could see that would work, So then we got this idea, just open it up to the whole nation. And so we went, we did get a few RVs, 3 or 4 RVs, but we went around and bought up RV parks that were for sale. And we started out with 3. And when we ended, when I retired, went out of that business, we had 10. 10 of these. And again, it was just, and it's really hard to say which one was the best, made the most money, the quickest out of those 3. It really is. But Camper Road is another. Just, we not only made a lot of money for ourselves, but we made a lot of money, the salespeople. They did. And the employees, they really did well. And it was, but we put together a program I've never seen anybody do. Since I retired up there, 2012, so 7 years ago, there's been 4 or 5 companies who bought those lots that we had, started their own, tried to do their own, and every one of them filed bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of them came and met with me, said, could you tell us how to do this? Why can't we get the business? I said, well, show me your program. And all they were doing is inviting people out to a free dinner, which that costs you a lot.
It's not free for everybody, right?
Yeah, them and their wife, they'd come, free dinner. And they talk them into buying a $5,000 or $6,000 membership to such and such park. And the people, and then they have to pay dues, yearly dues, every year to keep the thing going and so on. People just say, no, we don't want to do that. We'll just go to the public parks. Save a lot of money. So he says, how do you do it? How do you get it? I said, well, what you do, first of all, you tell them that they're the owners of the parks. They own the parks. But it's a trust. And you guys, you guys are the trustees. So you get paid for running the trust. And then you have your own marketing. You get paid the marketing commissions, plus you get paid for running it. And these people own all the property. So you can go anytime you want. You don't have to make a reservation. You can just come and go as you please. And they say, well, but you're going to stay up to a week. And after a week, you have to leave. Now you can come back, but after a week, but you have to. And then we had 10 parks. So they could go to one park, stay a week. If they wanted to go on, they slip over to another park. These guys would say, well, what if the park fills up? Which it never has. We've never had to turn people away because we have so many different parks. They don't all go to the same park. They'll go here, they'll go there, they'll go here, there, and so when they find out they can just, it's mine, we can go whenever we want. So, and you can take up to 10 people on your lot. So you can take your whole family, kids, grandkids, take up to 10 people on your lot. You go to a public campground, do you know what that would cost you? They say, yeah, you know. And so I said, so number one, you got your own RV parks. You can go whenever you want. And you know what? How many times a year would you use it if you could go anytime you want? And most of them would say, oh gosh, we'd probably go at least 2 weeks a month for 7 months. So how many days is that? 14 times 7? That's 84. So I said, just round it off, 100 days. Okay, what would it cost you at a public park if you went 100 times? Just you two, not your kids and family, just you two. Well, the parks charge anywhere from 10 to $20 a night. You'd be paying 100 times 20, $2,000. You'd be paying a year to use those public parks, which you have to call, make reservations. So, and you can only, and so forth. Well, so we'd say, so $2,000 a year public. So that means in 2 years or 3 years, you paid for your membership. Why don't you just buy a membership? You never pay again. It's yours forever, type thing.
Right.
And anyway, people got the drift, and I says, and then they said, well, would we really use it that much? I'd say, do you have an RV? Yes. Did you buy it? Yes. How much you pay for it? $120,000.
Yeah.
He says, you mean you've got a beautiful RV like that at your house? You're wondering if you ought to use it? And here you can go anytime you want and use it. You better think again on that. And so anyway, we got the pitch down pretty good, close, whatever. And we'd close about 62% average. All those that came to the dinner. Yeah. So if we had 10 couples and 6 spot, our memberships averaged 5,000 apiece, depending on which one. And that's the other thing. See, we had something for everybody. We had a $7,000 or $8,000 membership for the guy that wanted all these things. The one that just wanted to go and can't get home stuff, and we had one for like 4,000. So we just had something for everybody, and so we'd take in 6 times on an average of about about $25,000 a night, and we'd have these dinners 5 nights a week. 5 nights a week. So
that's moving. 5 nights a week.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have to go to every one. The manager. I'd pitch 2 of them myself a week. I'd pitch 2. Michael would pitch a couple of them. We had trained guys that I'd trained to pitch, and that's another thing. Just anybody. We found anybody. It reminds me, one night, one of my friends said, "Hey, let's have John pitch tonight. He is so good." I said, "Okay." So we had John pitch, and he was quite a talker, and people were laughing, giggling, and having a good time. Anyway, we had about 12 couples that night. Anyway, it ended, and everybody got up and left at 1. And there was one sale. So anyway, but the salespeople around at the table, they had to sit at the table with their people. They didn't know. They came up and said, "Oh, wasn't he fantastic? You're going to use him every week now more and more, and I'd say, well, did you think it was really fantastic? And they said, oh, yeah. And I said, well, did your people buy? And they'd say, well, no, but. And then I look at one of the other guys, did your people buy? Of course, we knew they did. I said, did you know they all got up and left? We had one sale. And it's, you're kidding. You know, it's not. The thing is, it's not entertainment.
Entertainment can be a piece of it, and it could be a piece of it, but it's infotainment.
Right. Yeah, the information. You got to get that information into the brain, and then some. Entertainment's okay, but if it's just all laugh, and joke, and stuff, it just doesn't work. Yeah. So we found that, well, we tried a lot of the guys, they just couldn't do it. They couldn't get the sales. But the ones that could were very valuable. They got a certain percentage for pitching the dinner, we called it.
Yeah, you have to make sure that they're on board. So throughout your whole life, you built all these businesses, you spent time in all these careers. How did you make sure that, because that's like the finance side of the legacy, and that underpins everything, right? Without money, a lot of people struggle without money. To say the least. I mean, there was a new study that's come out just in the last 2 or 3 months that 66% of millennials have zero money saved.
Yeah.
Zero. So like that's a very common thing. I don't think it's a new thing either. Like it's happened throughout history that people haven't really planned financially. So financial planning, that kind of underpins it, but it's not really what's most important. It's like money's the tool to really actualize the faith, the family, and fitness. So how did you, along the whole process of taking care of your business, also make sure that you're building the strong family relationships and keeping your family unit together, making sure your wife is happy, things like that?
Yeah. Well, that's a very good question, because you can, if you're not careful, you can let that get out of control and your family suffers. But with me, I wouldn't let that happen. Now, Kay and the baby suffered on the first one, on Willie. That was my first experience. So, yeah, I think she suffered a lot on that one as far as being alone. But after that, I'd learned. No, I not only got to be there, I want to be there. I want to be there, wife and kids, and so on. So there's things you can rotate, with some of your partners or some of your key employees. You can rotate around. I did a lot of that. But with Camper World, I ran that for 37 years. And now, there's no Camper World. They've tried 5 times in one bank. Different businessmen, different groups. And so, I don't know, but so I just learned to make sure I had my little fun. Now, I was away a lot, mostly during the day, but not every day. I might go 3 days a week, spend 4 down there. But I did a lot on the phone. That was with Camper World, because it was stable. It was right in Salt Lake City, and my office was there, and so forth. I had one thing I did have. I had a advisory board, managing board, and they were required. They had to be to that every single. We had that every week, no matter what. We went to that, and that was to make sure that we had everything covered for the week. Next week, again, we just had that every single week. and then we had a lot of guys that were not married, and they were in positions to rotate, do, and they, but we had to train them well. They had to know what they're doing too, you know. So, but I had Michael, I had Ryan, David's son, you know Ryan. Mm-hmm. He was a sharp kid, but he was good. And I had Ryan, and then I had my two partners, you know, and they were both divorced, not because of Campo. They divorced before Campo ever came home. So they were able to cover a lot of the ground. So we just made it work. But you're right. You got to take care of not only, if you want to be successful, you've got to take care of your family as well as the business. Yeah. In fact, let me tell you one other quick story. I don't know whether you've ever heard of there's the airport, I don't know what they call it, but the guy that built our airport years ago, mm-hmm. he's from Arabia. Anyway, he had a lot of money, oil money. He came and built the airport, and then they built between the airport and Salt Lake City is a great big building and units there. And they've got all kinds of offices. They oversee the airport from there. Many people don't realize that. They think the airport is managed by the people right in the airport, and it is to a point.
Sure.
But these guys, very wealthy guys, business guys. Well, we had one of them come to us when we first started Capital. We'd only been selling it a year, but we were just really killing it. So he came to us and says, "Listen, I want to start a new project. It's called East Bay. Yeah, East Bay. Have you ever been up the canyon up in the east part of Salt Lake? There's a lake up there. I can't remember what they call the lake. It's been spent. Anyway, this East Bay, he had about 20,000 acres, and very wealthy. He wanted to build all these condos, and then he wanted to have great big RV park, places they could come. And then he wanted to have where people could just have a lot to camp on. And then he built tennis courts, swimming pools, right up in the mountains. It's still going today. Still going today. Well, anyway, and then these beautiful condos, they're really neat. Well, anyway, and Danny and Carrie owns one of them. I used to own it, and I just turned it over to Danny because we weren't using it. I was paying the property taxes every year.
Sure.
I said, Danny, somebody that would use it. Would you use? Oh yeah, we'd use it. We do. But anyway, he came to us and said, "Would you guys like to market this for us?" You would. And he did it all just because he could see what we were doing in camp. Mm-hmm. He says, "I know you got your other project going, but you could probably do two of them." He's right. We could. So we divided up. I said, "Yeah, we'll take it on." Because he had a nice plan and everything. So we kept Camp Road going. We took his start marketing it. In the first 18 months, we took in $18 million for it. $1 million.
Wow.
Just killed it. And anyway, so one day, one day we get this call from him. It says, my two partners, would you guys come over to meet me? I said, sure. We thought, oh, geez, congratulate us on 18 months worth of business. Probably got a bunch of other good stuff. We go over there and he says, well, guys, I just want to thank you. You've done so well. I really appreciate it, but I'm going to break our contract. I don't need you anymore. So, you go back, spend all your time on temporary. I'm gonna run this myself. I'll never forget. But we were just, the three of us were just laughing at this. I says, I can't believe you mean we do $18 million for you in 18 months and you want to stop that? He says, well, I'm not stopping it. I've got to work now where I'll just manage it. I've got a couple of close family and friends that are going to do what you guys do. Oh, I said, well, okay. I said, well, you are a good friend. I don't mean to disrespect you. But I said, I'm telling you, if you do that, what you're saying, you'll go bankrupt. Oh my gosh. How did the tape? Because, he built several big projects in parks. St. George. He built the airport system. He got that going. He's just Khashoggi money, we call it. His last name was Khashoggi. Khashoggi money. Lots of money. Oh, he pounded the table. Jumped up and he says, don't you tell me what I do. I can do that easy. I said, well, okay. I shouldn't say anything. It's just that that's my feeling. And knowing what I know about the business, if you're going to have somebody else do what we're doing, it's not going to work. He says, well, we'll see about that. Boy, we didn't end on very good terms.
Doesn't sound like.
In 1 year, they went bankrupt. After all of that money. Now, they wouldn't have had to go bankrupt because he had money to keep them up. But he turned it over to some partners, and they had control. He was one partner. They had control of it. And he wasn't going to pay all of their debts. I mean, type thing. They were part of those debts. So they went bankrupt. He came back to us just before they filed bankruptcy. I'm sorry, Glenn, you were right. Would you guys come back and take it? Says, we're sorry, we've already taken on the project, which we had. We had a hunting club come to us. We sold the hunting club out in a year. But anyway, so we didn't go back. The bank took it over, the bank, and they came to us several times. They said, look, we don't want to be in this business. We're a bank. But would you guys come back? Would you come back and take it over, make it profitable again? We'll pay you just what he was paying. And he says, well, we'll do it on one condition. And he said, well, what's that? He said, you need to pay us the $700,000 of residuals that he owes us. And they're in your bank. This is all week long to cover those shortfalls of the partners. See, if somebody bought cash, yes, we got paid up. Somebody bought on terms.
Right.
Part of it goes in, and we had residuals every month. He owed us $700,000 worth of residuals. That's not too bad out of $18 million. And so they said, well, we can't do that. In fact, our banking, you know how banks are, they have a board that approves over. They wouldn't approve that. They said, well, we can't come back. So they kept, well, they were going down, down, down. So I got this idea. I could see it was just going to go away. So I went to the banker, had a meeting with him, and I said, look, you're just going to lose the whole thing. He said, I know, I can see it. I said, why don't you meet with all of the members and turn the ownership over to the members? And how much do they owe? How much do they owe on the project right now? He said, well, they owe $4 million on the project. Well, that's a lot of money back then.
It's a lot of money now.
Yeah.
For some people.
Right. $4 million. And I said, well, go to the members and tell them that if they want to vote and have an assessment, each member has to pay an assessment. And raise that $4 million, pay you guys off, they own the project. Free and clear, and you can do what they want with it. I said, boy, I like that. Do you think they have that kind of money? And I said, well, yeah. Because there's 4,000 members. We figured out what each one would have to come up with to do it, and it was doable. Can't remember the exact figures now.
About 10,000.
Well, they raised the money, paid the bank off. That's the only reason. They're the only one left in the whole state that's in the kind of business I was in. And it's because it was turned over to the members. It's paid off free and clear. And they're still going, but they don't market it. There's no marketing. They just charge people that come in and want to use the facilities. But they don't make a lot of profit. They just make enough to cover expenses. But yeah, it's really, really interesting. Exactly what I told him would happen. And so anyway.
Yeah, it's the foresight and experience that's talking there. Well, that's awesome. So we have 2 sections left, just really quick.
Okay.
The last one's called Legacy on Rapid Fire. So I'm going to ask you about 4 questions, and it's just 1 word to 1 sentence answers.
Okay.
But what do you think is the next step of your legacy?
Example, I guess.
Okay. What do you think the hardest thing you've ever accomplished has been?
Probably marriage at 18 and making it work.
Okay. And how many years have you been happily married now?
Over 60. Yeah. About, well, what's it been?
65?
Yeah, 65 years.
65 years. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And what would you say the greatest success in your life is to this point?
I would say my family. Yeah. Because they're all in the church. I'm talking about sons. I've got some grandkids that are falling off the wagon, but hopefully we'll get them back on, Mm-hmm. But all my sons but one, serve missions, and they've married and produced, like the Lord said, multiply and replenish the earth. Got beautiful families, and we all love each other really a lot. And then we've got our extended family, people like you and Charlie, which we just really love too. So I would say it would have to be family, because people can lose they can screw up and lose a good family very easily.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say if you were to boil? Okay, let's say you have one or two things you have left to tell your kids or your grandkids, great grandkids about how to be successful. What would you say the one or two things that have contributed most to your success over your life? What would they be?
I would say whatever they want to do or decide to do, make sure that it's in accordance with the Lord's, what He would do. It's not against the church. And that it's built, whatever they build it upon the rock.
Awesome. Okay, so this is my last question. It's my favorite question because it always comes out a little different.
Okay.
But we're gonna pretend that you're dead.
Okay.
And we're talking, and you almost know these kids, so it's maybe not as far, but great grandchildren, 6 generations from now.
Right.
So you have kids that are. Do you have great grandkids? You've got.
Yes, we do.
Yes, you've got quite a few great grandkids.
We do.
So that's 1, 2, 3. That's 3 generations now. So 3 generations further than your great grandkids. Yeah. Okay. If they were sitting around this table discussing your life, yours and grandmommy's life, what would you want them to be saying about your legacy?
My legacy? Well, that's a hard one, my legacy. But I guess I could just tell them that follow me and your grandmother, the path we took, which is to commit. We committed early. We wanted to be good disciples of Christ and follow Him, and which means you also can live the commandments the best you can. You're not going to be perfect, but you're going to be good disciples of Christ, and follow that. Be really strong and follow that legacy.
Awesome. Hey, well, if that's what it is, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Granddaddy, for taking the time. I know you got to run here, but this has been awesome for me, and I know Charlie's going to be grateful that we did this, but also all the people who are listening get the opportunity to hear some. I don't know if you guys caught this, but he's 83. If you guys did the math, he's 83. And his dad was 50 when he was born. So that's 133 years just to where his dad was of experience when he was born. 133 years ago was in the 1800s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, just think of the amount of time that has passed in that, like the amount of things that have happened in those 2 lifespans, those 2 generations. So when I'm asking questions about 6 generations from now, just try and think back 6 generations and think of what's happened in 6 generations, and what are you saying about your great grandparents? Do you even know who they are? Do you know what lives they had? And that's really what we're doing here, is we're creating legacies of meaning. Thanks for joining us today. If what you heard resonated with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me so I can give you a shout out on the next episode. And thanks to all those who have left a review. It helps spread the message of what it really takes to build a legacy that lasts. Catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy.